Hello everyone on YouTube, happy Friday everyone, and this is Jordan here, bringing you another video. Now, what do I have for you on this fine Friday morning, evening or afternoon, whenever you're watching this? And depending on when you're watching this, it might not even be Friday, but since I am filming this on a Friday, let's just pretend it's Friday. For those who aren't watching this on a Friday. Anyway, back to business. Today we're going to be looking at another Linux distribution. Let me just move my camera over to me. There we go. Today we're looking at a distribution of Linux called devuan. And you're probably wondering now, what is devuan? Well, devuan, spelled D-E-V-U-A-N, is a distribution based on Debian. Well, it's actually forked from Debian. In fact, it is no different from Debian. So you're probably wondering, why does devuan even exist? Excuse me, I do have a bit of a cold. Devuan is a distribution that is based on Debian, but with one difference. Debian is strictly using systemd, and devuan doesn't use systemd. Instead, you've got other initialization systems. Now, if you're a new to Linux user, I strongly recommend that you don't try devuan. I recommend you try Ubuntu or Linux Mint. In fact, I don't recommend trying Debian for new Linux users either, because you're going to be stuck knowing which one to download. It's the same for devuan. Ugh, getting them two mixed up already. So I've gone ahead and downloaded a devuan ISO. I've downloaded the network install, and back in February I did a video of installing Debian. Now, that was the live install. This time we're doing a net install, and the installation method for devuan is the near enough identical to Debian, except we're going to see some differences. So if you're trying to install Debian, you might want to follow along. But for the people who are new to Linux, I strongly recommend that you don't use either Debian or devuan. Instead, use Ubuntu LTS. It's much more user-friendly. Linux Mint is another good one. Don't use Accessible Coconut. It's no longer getting updates as far as I know. They are talking about a 22.04 release, but I haven't heard since I came back from Turkey. So we can just assume that the distribution has gone out of support. It's gone the same road as Linux, because we'd have been getting this new update by now. AC 20.04 was released in September of 2020, as far as I know. Right, let's get started then. Now, I've already got VirtualBox installed on here, and with no virtual machines. We're going to be installing this in a virtual machine, but the installation steps are the same regardless of where you're installing.
Download inbox Oracle VM virtual button map button edit enter a search term to but tools button close tools.
So we're going to create a new VM.
Create virtual machine
I'm going to call it devuan.
Toolbar down combo box C user type down combo box Microsoft Windows.
We want Linux.
Version down combo box Oracle 60.
We want Debian.
List Debian 32.
We want Debian 64-bit.
Down combo box Debian 64-bit.
It's strongly recommended that you use a Windows host, because VirtualBox works better with NVDA instead of Orca.
Export next enter button old drive slider 1024.
And I'm going to give, I've got 12 gigabytes of RAM in this computer, so I'm going to give my virtual machine
10,306.
That's a lot of RAM.
66, 58, 88, 66, 66, 65, 66, 61, 44, 62, 72.
That'll be enough RAM. I'm giving it 6 gigabytes.
Spin button 60. Next enter button old drive. Create a virtual hard disk now. Old C radio button.
Create a virtual hard disk now. Yep.
Create enter button.
I'm going to use VHD.
Export next enter dynamically allocate next enter button.
You don't have to follow along if you're trying to install this on a real PC. It's for those who are installing this in a VirtualBox or virtual machine.
Unavailable. Edit C. Users Jordan button. Slider 25 million. 25. Squint edit number 28.0.
I'm going to give my VM
Squint edit number 144.
144 gig.
Create enter button. Oracle VM VirtualBox Manager.
And our virtual PC is created. Now, I am using devuan Daedalus, which gives us the newer versions of software. And we may also have a newer version of Orca. We'll have version 43, so that's going to be exciting because it's probably entered Debian's testing branch right now. Anyway, now that we've got our virtual machine created, there's a few more things we need to do first. First, we need to configure the virtual CPUs. I've got 6 cores, so I'm going to give it 4.
Debian settings window basic allows the serial port mother process slider 1, 2, 3, 4.
You've seen me do this before.
Processor allows user storage.
Most likely in the Slint installation video.
Split type, use list all list, controller, id list, empty.
Right,
choose a disk file.
Choose a disk file. I'm going to go for
items, Debian not selected, name file name. \. Items view list, date modify the date grouping.
Where's my devuan ISO?
Yes, the date Debian
There it is.
Virtual
devuan Daedalus.
lives image 4
Kind of reminds you of the Daedalus dusts from Manamon, doesn't it?
See list all OK enter button Oracle.
Is that probably why they've got their name, because of devuan? But then again, I don't think VG Storms has ever used Linux. So I doubt it's anything to do with that.
Machine.
But we've got a devuan ISO in the virtual optical drive, and all that's left to do now is boot from it. But first, I want to double check I've got everything right.
Debian basic allows serial ports, not user int screen allows serial mother prop slider 4 prop cancel OK.
Okay, we're ready to go. Now, if you're doing this on a real PC, you're going to hear 2 beeps. Now, you're gonna see why this is relevant in a bit. You won't hear these on VirtualBox though. You will on VMware, but I don't recommend VMware because it's not accessible.
Button, Debian virtual. Menu set button extra improve start alt normal start Oracle VM.
Let's start our VirtualBox.
Windows split button list Debian virtual machine. Debian powered off Oracle VM VirtualBox. Num lock off. Debian starting Oracle VM VirtualBox. Debian running Oracle VM VirtualBox.
Now I'm going to press S and then press enter.
Select a language. Choose the language to be used for the installation process. The selected language will also be the default language for the installed system. Language 1, C, 2, Albanian, 3, Amharic, 4.
I need to turn this up.
Caps lock on.
17, 18.
Select a language. I'm going to go for 20, which is
2,
English.
0. Select your location. The selected location will be used to set your time zone and also, for example, to help select the system locale. Normally this should be the country where you live. This is a short list of locations based on the language you selected. Choose other if your location is not listed. Country, territory or area. 1. Antigua and Barbuda. 2. Australia. 3. Botswana. 4. Canada. 5. Hong Kong. 6. India. 7. Ireland, 8, Israel, 9, New Zealand, 10, Nigeria, 11, Philippines, 12, Seychelles, 13, Singapore, 14, South Africa, 15, United Kingdom.
I hope you can hear that alright. I'm going to see if I can try and get the volume up, but I know which one I want. 15.
1, 5.
That should be loud enough for you to hear now.
Configure the keyboard. Key map to use. 1. American English. 2. Albanian. 3. Arabic. 4. Assyrian. 5. Bangladesh. 6. Belarusian. 7. Bengali. 8. Belgian. 9. Berber Latin. 10. Bosnian. 11. Brazilian. 12. British English. 13.
I'm going to go for British English, so that's going for 12.
2.
Let me know if the camera is picking up that right, because that's the maximum volume I can have on this now. Let's press enter.
Detecting hardware to find installation media 2%, 95%, 100%. Scanning installation media 25%.
Scanning installation
50%.
media.
75%, 100%, loading additional components, 2%, 11%, 21%, 30%, 40%, 50%, 61%, 71%, 80%,
Now you'd be asked to connect to the Wi-Fi
detecting network
on a real
hardware,
PC,
2%, 95%,
but I don't need to because I'm using
detecting
VirtualBox.
link on F0, please wait, 0%, 16%, 25%, 33%, 41%, 50%, 66% waiting for link local address, 8%, 16%, 25%, 33%, 41%, 100% attempting it, 6 auto configuration, 8%, 16%, 25%, 33%, 41%, 50%, 66%, 75%, 83%, 91%, 100%, configuring the network with DHCP, 4%, 100%, configure the network, please enter the host name for this system. The host name is a single word that identifies your system to the network. If you don't know what your host name should be, consult your network administrator. If you are setting up your own home network, you can make something up here. Host name, prompt, for help,
Caps lock on.
176, 17, 18.
If you're setting up your home network, I'm going to call it devuan.
DEVUAN.
I don't think this loudness is going to stay the same though.
The domain name is
There we
the
go.
part of your internet address to the right of your host name. It is often something that ends in .com, .net, .edu, or .org.
We're not having an internet connection. Right, I think I might have fixed this. We're going to leave this blank.
Set up users and passwords. You need to set a password for root, the system administrative account. A malicious or unqualified user with root access can have disastrous results, so you should take care to choose a root password that is not easy to guess. It should not be a word found in dictionaries, or a word that could be easily associated with you. A good password will contain a mixture of letters, numbers and punctuation, and should be changed at regular intervals. The root user should not have an empty password. If you leave this empty, the root account will be disabled, and the system's initial user account will be given the power to become root using the sudo command. Enter reopenable the sorrow root password.
You can tell Speak Up hasn't had any updates. It just had a slip of the tongue. Now we're not going to be needing a root account. Our initial user account will become root.
Please enter the same root password again to verify that you have typed.
Or virtual dev num lock off.
I'm going to leave everything blank and just let my visual account become root.
A user account will be created for you to use instead of the root account for non-administrative activities. Please enter the real name of this user. This information will be used, for instance, as default origin for emails sent by this user, as well as any program which displays or uses the user's real name. Your full name is a reasonable choice. Full name for the new user. Prompt for help.
I'm going to call myself, well, obviously I'm going to use my real name.
JORDAN. Select a username for the new account. Your first name is a reasonable choice. The username should start with a lowercase letter, which can be followed by any combination of numbers and more lowercase letters. Username for your account. Prompt for help. Default Jordan. A good password will contain a mixture of letters, numbers and punctuation, and should be changed at regular intervals. Choose a password for the new user.
Type in the password for for me for logging into devuan.
Please enter the same user password again to verify you have typed it correctly. Re-enter password to verify.
Now there's no graphics on screen, it's all text based. This being a net install.
Setting up the clock 0%, 100%, detecting disks and all other hardware 2%, 95%, 100%, loading additional components 16%, 33%, 50%, 66%, 83%, 100%, loading additional components 25%, 50%, 75%, 100%, starting up the partitioner. 4%, 13%, 22%, 31%, 40%, 50%, 63%, 72%, 81%, 90%, 100%. Partition disks. The installer can guide you through partitioning a disk using different standard schemes, or, if you prefer, you can do it manually. With guided partitioning, you will still have a chance later to review and customize the results. If you choose guided partitioning for an entire disk, you will next be asked which disk should be used. Partitioning method. 1. Guided, use entire disk. 2. Guided, use entire disk and set up LVM. 3. Guided, use entire disk and set up encrypted LVM. 4. Manual, prompt. For help.
Now, most of us are going to want to choose number 1 for the guided partitioning.
1. Note that all data on the disk you select will be erased, but not before you have confirmed that you really want to make the changes. Select disk to partition. 1. SCSI 3000 SDA 154.6 GB RTB box hard disk. Prompt. For help, default 1.
I'm going to go press 1 because that's our virtual hard drive.
Space selected for partitioning. SCSI 3000 SDA RTB box hard disk 154.6 GB. The disk can be partitioned using one of several different schemes. If you are unsure, choose the first one. Partitioning scheme. 1. All files in one partition recommended for new users. 2. Separate /home partition.
I'm going to go for number 1. It's recommended
1.
for new users. Number 1.
Guided partitioning. 20%, 40%, 60%, 80%. This is an overview of your currently configured partitions and mount points. Select a partition to modify its settings, file system, mount point, etc. A free space to create partitions, or a device to initialize its partition table. 1. Guided partitioning. 2. Configure software RAID. 3. Configure the logical volume manager. 4. Configure encrypted volumes. 5. Configure SCSI volumes. 6. 7. SCSI 3000 SDA 154.6 GB RTB box hard disk. 8. 1 primary 153.6 GB FX4/9. 5 logical 1.0 GB F swap. 10. 11. Undo changes to partitions. 12. Finish partitioning and write changes to disk.
Press number 12 to finish partitioning.
1. 2. If you continue, the changes listed below will be written to the disks. Otherwise, you will be able to make further changes manually. The partition tables of the following devices are changed. SCSI 3000 SDA. The following partitions are going to be formatted. Partition 1 of SCSI 3000 SDA as X4. Partition 5 of SCSI 3000 SDA as swap. Write the changes to disks. 1. Yes. 2.
Then click yes.
1. Partitions formatting. 33%. Partitions formatting. Installing the base system. 0%, 17%, 20%, 30%,
Right.
40%,
It's installing the base system now. So now it's
50%,
our first set of waiting.
60%, 70%, 79%, 83%.
There goes my PC fans. The fans are revving up now. So this is where we're going to be waiting a fair bit while it installs the base system for us. So this is exactly the same as the Debian install. We're just going to be seeing
91%, 100%, configuring apt, 5%, 11%, 22%, configure the package manager. Scanning your installation media finds the label. devuan GNU/Linux 5.0 d-AMD64, net install 20,220,926. You now have the option of scanning additional media for use by the package manager apt. Normally these should be from the same set as the one you booted from. If you do not have any additional media, this step can just be skipped. If you wish to scan more media, please insert another one now. Scan extra installation media. 1. Yes. 2. No prompt.
We're going to use 2 because we don't have any other media on us.
2.
This works. This applies to both devuan and debian.
27%, 33%. Please select a devuan archive mirror. You should use the mirror which has the best internet connection to you. Usually, dev.devuan.org is a good choice. It is a distributed pool of trusted mirrors. Devuan archive mirror 1, dev.devuan.org 2, pkgmaster.devuan.org, prompt. For help, default 1.
I'm going to go for number 2 because it seems faster. Now, in Debian, you'd be asked which country you want to use, but devuan's global and all the mirrors are global for devuan. So,
2.
you'll get good connection regardless of which one you're using. I'm going to use number 2 because I like it.
If you need to use an HTTP proxy to access the outside world, enter the proxy information here. Otherwise, leave this blank. The proxy information should be given in the standard form of HTTP user:pass at post:/port/ HTTP proxy information blank for none, prompt. For help.
I'm going to use none. Now, if this throws up any error messages related to the repositories, don't worry. I think this is normal. It's just picked another because we're using a different mirror. This happens after we've gone through the software selection, which we're going to go through in a bit. We're not going to be using a proxy.
33%. 41%. 50%, 61%, 72%, exclamation error, cannot access repository. The repository on dev.devuan.org couldn't be accessed, so its updates will not be made available to you at this time. You should investigate this later. Commented out entries for dev.devuan.org have been added to the /etc/apt/sources.list file. Press enter to continue.
That's normal. It's because we've switched mirrors.
72%, 83%, 94%, 100%. Select and install software 1%.
Select and install software. We're now using pkgmaster.devuan.org instead of deb.devuan.org. We're still getting the same packages regardless. So now we're just waiting now. Select and install software. This only appears if you're using a net install of both devuan or debian. Now the live installs only include XFCE.
10%.
But we'll be able to
13%.
choose a desktop environment.
Configuring popularity contest. The system may anonymously supply the distribution developers with statistics about the most used packages on this system. This information influences decisions, such as which packages should go on the first distribution CD. If you choose to participate, the automatic submission script will run once every week, sending statistics to the distribution developers. The collected statistics can be viewed on http://popcon.devuan.org/. This choice can be later modified by running dpkg reconfigure popularity contest. Participate in the package usage survey. 1. Yes to.
I do, so I'm going to click 1.
16%. Software selection. At the moment, only the core of the system is installed. To tune the system to your needs, you can choose to install one or more of the following predefined collections of software. Choose software to install. 1. Devuan desktop environment. 2. XFCE. 3. Mate. 4. Cinnamon.
Well, would you look at that? Mate. I'm going to install Mate at number 3.
16%.
So now that we've got our desktop and chosen that, all that's left to do now is wait until everything's all done. Now, this also applies to if you're installing the Debian distribution of Linux. So if you're installing Debian, you're going to be doing the same steps, near enough. However, there are some devuan specific ones, like those mirrors. And after we've done all this, we'll be asked which initialization system we're going to be using. This is why I strictly recommend that people who are new to Linux do not try this distribution. I recommend Ubuntu, Linux Mint, Solus,
20%.
Zorin OS. What's that other one called? No, not Manjaro. Manjaro's based on Arch, which is not user-friendly. Even Manjaro's not user-friendly. Yeah, I'll be here in a bit. Sorry about that, guys. We'll be. Sorry about all that. Just my father. I got breakfast ready, but we're gonna be concentrating on this devuan install. And this is going to take a while, I'm not going to lie, it has to download a lot of stuff. Including the worst application for Linux being GIMP. And I don't like GIMP. I don't think GIMP should be included in every Linux distribution because practically Adobe Photoshop is better, but you can't get Photoshop for Linux. My distribution of Linux, I've designed my own, Salsa Linux, that doesn't use... I'm pretty sure I don't use GIMP on that. But distributions that do ship with GIMP, they basically just take a while to install because GIMP is quite a huge program in itself. Because it's based on a framework that's similar to Photoshop. So we're waiting for all these packages to install. Now,
30%.
There we go, 30%. So to recap, we chose our language, we chose our keyboard layout, we chose our network connection for those who are using a standard PC. We then typed in our host name and set up user accounts. And then after that, we did the disk partitioning, and
40%.
Here is where we are now. Software selection. Now what you're going to want to do after this is choose your initialization system. So we're just waiting for all this to sort itself out. devuan is one of those distributions
50%.
where it's all down to you what you want on your distribution. That's why I recommend the network installs, because you get to choose which desktop you want. Ubuntu doesn't have anything like that.
%.
So we're waiting for the...
70%.
Oh, look at that, 70% already. Looks like we're just about...
80%.
Looks like we're just about ready. Although I've probably jinxed it now, haven't I?
90%.
Come on, you're almost there. Now this goes up in 10.
100%.
And we've made it.
Select init system. The following init systems are available: sysvinit, the original sysvinit, the standard and recommended choice. If you don't know what all this is about, just select sysvinit below. OpenRC, a dependency-based service and run-level management system. Note that OpenRC still uses sysvinit for /svin/init PID1. Using /svin/OpenRC init is still experimental and requires additional manual configuration. Runit, an alternative implementation which provides /sysvinit PID1 as well as service and run level management. Init system to install. 1. Sysvinit.
I'm going to use sysvinit because it's more accessible.
1.
It works really well with SpeakUp.
Installing packages 0%, 12%, 32%, 49%, 66%, 83%, 100%. Installing drug bootloader 16%, 33% install the drug bootloader. It seems that this new installation is the only operating system on this computer. If so, it should be safe to install the drug bootloader to your primary drive UFI partition/root record. Warning. If your computer has another operating system that the installer failed to detect, this will make that operating system temporarily unbootable, though drug can be manually configured later to boot it. Install the drug bootloader to your primary drive. 1. Yes. 2. No prompt.
We're going to click yes. This really does need to hurry up. I've got breakfast waiting.
1.
So we're gonna do this as quickly as I can, and then I'm going to show you the new bootable system we've got. So I'm going to click yes.
You need to make the newly installed system bootable by installing the drug bootloader on a bootable device. The usual way to do this is to install drug to your primary drive UFI partition/root record. You may instead install drug to a different drive or partition, or to removable media. Device for bootloader installation. 1. Enter device manually. 2. /net/SDAR to VBox hard disk VBE3DF6C6.
I'm going to click
2.
2.
50%, 66%, 83%, 100%, finishing the installation, 3%.
So that's finishing the installation.
32%, 42%, finish the installation. Installation complete. Installation is complete, so it is time to boot into your new system. Make sure to remove the installation media, so that you boot into the new system rather than restarting the installation. Please choose Continue to reboot. Press Enter to continue. 46%, 50%.
Just wait there, guys. I'll be with you in a bit. I'll be with you in a bit.
When the toast is a bit cold. Wow, what are you doing?
Doing a YouTube video, aren't I?
When the toast is a bit cold.
Starting speaker /speaker connector. E-speaker. Setting up house and
Sorry about that, guys.
screen reader on. Frame. Text. Enter your username.
But we now have a devuan installation. So now we can log in.
JORDAN. Return. Password tech. Wallet. Screen reader on.
So now we've got a completely accessible system. Now I'm sorry for all the background stuff. This is an unusual time for me to be filming because I don't normally film before breakfast. So yeah. So let's just quickly explore our devuan system. What have we got here? We've got a desktop.
Icon screen reader version 42.3.
We're still on version 42.3.
Left control.
Left
applications menu.
I hope you can hear that.
Desktop. Left control.
But if not, we're going to be shutting this thing down because we've got it installed now. I'm going to go over to the system menu and then shut down.
Return. Menu. Alert. Shutdown. Cancel push. Shutdown push. Return.
But it's nice to see it's installed a worker for us.
Using makefile style tasking all remaining processes to terminate. Not done.
I love sysvinit. It's really accessible.
Debian new.
And I don't know why Debian decided to switch to systemd. Well, blame Red Hat. That's all I can say. Not everyone likes systemd. Even I'm starting to hate systemd. I think every distribution of Linux needs to switch away from systemd. Because not only is it not accessible for starters, for the visually impaired, so they know the computer is shutting down, it slows the PC down. But that was our devuan installation video. This is Jordan signing off saying have a good day everyone.
Pause video. Stop taking.